Yes, everybody, welcome back to the channel. Do I apologise about the title? Not really. It had to be done, didn't it? I'm sure it's not going to be the only one that's going to use that one. Are we getting excited yet? I don't know if we're getting completely excited yet. Do we do it? I don't know if we do. Do we say, listen, Man United might not thank me here, but get the contract out, put it on the table. Oh, that would be exciting, wouldn't it? Let's be real, though. It was a boring first half, I think it's safe to say. But there was a couple of changes that are worth talking about. Interestingly, Ronaldo playing off the left with Tony Martial being down the centre. Is that a way to try and get Cavani and Ronaldo in future games? I wonder. And I wonder what the sort of thought process behind doing that was. I definitely think that's something that I wouldn't mind seeing. In actual fact, if you go back and look at some of the videos that I did prior to the season starting, that was one of the ways that we thought Ronaldo might actually feature for United. It was good to see us use, I think a lot of people had it as a 4-2-3-1. It's definitely a 4-3-3. And Donny did, as we probably would expect him to do, as a number 8 in there, and looked pretty decent. Thought Sancho was decent, and maybe got a bit fortunate with his goal. Marcus being a little bit generous, letting it go. Bruno getting an absolute fraud of an assist, but they all count. And winning 2-0 away from home at what is a potentially tricky tie for United, putting us into the next round of the Champions League, getting the job done. The bigger task ahead, and the task where you're really going to find out what Michael Carrick's about as a manager, and realistically, he's caretaker boss. He shouldn't get the interim job no matter what happens in the next month, but he's got a real claim to be made here for any future employment that he may or may not find himself in for, if he can put in a good performance against top of the league Chelsea, which is going to be a hell of a task for him to go and do. So it'd be nice to see Michael Carrick actually display his tactical prowess. They'll be back tomorrow doing recovery. You've got Thursday and Friday. You've probably got a day in there where you're going to be looking really at what tactics you can introduce. I wonder what he's already got in the back of his mind. He should know the players. He shouldn't need to get to know anyone. Has he got any tactical surprises up his sleeve? Has he got anything left in the tank that he maybe held back tonight that he can throw on Saturday? It remains to be seen, and we obviously will see that as we go forward. But, all we can do is take the positives out of what we saw tonight. United looked strong. We looked comfortable, and it was a little bit different, I guess. And is that just the presence of a different voice, or the prominence of a different voice? I would say, seeing as though it's a similar voice that they've had in training for the last, however long. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I think it's just a case now of, let's just see what we can do, where we can find ourselves, and then the bigger picture conversation is going to be about who takes over either as interim or as the full-time manager as we go forward. But I thought there was some good performances overall. That's definitely worth us looking at and looking into. So, any questions? Let's get them in the mixer and see it. So Ross Murphy there saying Sancho has arrived. I think if he'd have scored, there was an opportunity he had earlier on in the game, wasn't he, rather than one at the end. And I think that would have been a good one for him to have scored. That would have been nice if he'd have managed to put that one away. But I mean, I'm sure he's going to take the goal no matter how it comes, because let's be honest, they do all count. Let's have a look. Blood Money Derby. Apparently, Poch is still talking about us. Yeah. Ross Murphy says, shows when you press a team, they make a mistake, and that's exactly what happened when Fred pressed the defender and Ronaldo chips it over the goalkeeper. Yeah, I would agree, actually. That was something that we identified in the in a pre-match, and we mentioned that in the what's it called? In the preview. Lost my words then. And that is, of course, something that happens. Yeah, you put pressure on defenders, they can turn around the ball in dangerous areas, and Fred did that to his credit. Actually got a lot higher up the pitch than he typically does as well doing that, so that was nice to see. And Ronaldo, sensational finish, because I don't even think he looks. I think he does it purely on instinct and gets it right in the corner of the goal, so absolutely sensational. Brilliant finish from Cristiano Ronaldo. And like we said, United safely into the mixer. What do I think about Valverde? Open-minded. See where it goes. Do a little bit more mix on it. Let's have a look. Alex Bailey says, so for me, this is the proof that attacking capability is just world-class, but the defence is still frail with Maguire in there. Also, Wan-Bissaka needs a game to sharpen up Viva Ronaldo. Yeah, I thought Wan-Bissaka had a couple of mistakes in him, to be honest. He did have a couple of mistakes in him. But, ultimately he's come away with a clean sheet, so that's the one. Have a look at Scotty last 30 minutes, started being a part of a back three at times. Well, I agree, and there was a couple of times I did see him sort of ghost into those areas, but actually that's something you fundamentally do as a number 6, or should do as a number 6. The number 6 should always, if your defence gets stretched and you've got 4, you can't fill in any of the gaps and you can't stretch it infinitely. You have to mitigate that by either stacking in on one side and leaving the back end, and that exposes you to certain stuff, or you have your number 6 slide into defence. Right. So as an example, let's say I'm the defence at the moment and attacking down my left hand side. They're coming down, and my left back goes out to press. That leaves a gap between the left back and the left centre half. Me, say, as the right-sided centre half, and I've got my right back to my side. We're going to shuffle over. Or if, let's say, the fullback gets beat, the left centre half has to go out. You've got an option now. Either I'm going to go over there, which is going to leave us overloaded at the back stick, or your number 6 slides in and sweeps up. And I thought that's what McTominay was doing. And to be honest, it's not crazy. It's not fancy, and it's just one of those. Also, De Gea was immense first half, like De Gea of old. McTominay did well in the big 6, did some basics well, and still looked itching to get forward. Just doesn't need to do. Yeah, I would agree with that. And Mardragon says, yeah, it's just something we haven't been doing. Yeah, I would agree to a greater or lesser degree with that. Although it's when Fred plays in the 6 that we don't necessarily see him do that, because he's a little bit dangerous in the mixer there, isn't it? Do I think we'll make any signings in January if we haven't appointed a permanent manager by then? It doesn't make a lot of sense for us to do that. I don't think it makes a lot of sense for us at all to do that. Ultimately, like you have to have your new manager appoint and approve the signings. Otherwise, you're saying that your director of football and technical director in Fletcher have made that decision for who you're going to sign, and that can be quite dangerous at times if you do that. You're just allowing random people to make decisions for a guy in the future. You want your manager to live and die by his signings. You can't be signing people for him, if that makes sense, unless it's something that you've been working on for years and years and years, and it's been in the pipeline for that long, and you're not just going to cancel it. But we saw Louis van Gaal come in and veto some transfers that was already lined up when he got here. So I think you have to know what you're doing. I'd be very surprised if United signed anyone. There might be some players who want to go. We might not be able to do anything about that. It might be a board decision, but they're like, well, we can get money for him now. We might not get money from him in the summer. Let him go. There could be some of that going on, but I wouldn't expect big signings at least. There might be some reinforcements or some smaller, lower level signings, but certainly nothing big I wouldn't have thought at the moment. Mardragon says, Busquets style, talking about McTominay. It's a bit giddy. It was a decent performance. I wouldn't call it Busquets style. I think that's a little bit excitable. But yeah, again, I'm not going to drone on too long. I'm going to do 5 things in the morning. We're going to have a proper look at it all. But yeah, more or less pretty happy with not a run-of-the-mill win, but like a professional win. We got in, we did the job we needed to do, we kept a clean sheet, we scored 2 goals, we were comfortable, and that's something that United haven't been. We've been scratching around for last-minute winners, we've been having to come from behind, conceding first. All of these things have been going west, and we've not really had that comfortable run-of-the-mill, that's the word I was looking for, comfortable run-of-the-mill win where we just get out there and get in the mixer. Alex says, I can see McTominay being a 6 much better than Fred. Fred's a bit like a Herrera with the energy to get about the pitch, whereas McTominay has the playmaker and defensive ability. I disagree that he has the playmaking ability. I think he's definitely got the defensive ability, and I think they've been trying to work with him to become a 6. I think Carrick especially has been working with him to sort of get that sorted out. But yeah, Carrick dedicated his win to Ollie. That's nice. Fair play then. What do I think of this Danny tonight? Do you mean Donny? I'm assuming that you mean. I'm going to assume that you meant Donny. I thought it was a solid performance. I don't think it was anything spectacular. I don't think it was bad. I think it was just a solid performance, and that's nice for him to see. That's what you want from your players. I don't want a 10 one week and a 5 the next week. You want some level of consistency. I thought it was a fine performance, and that would do. Again, like I said a little bit earlier, the real big one for me is what is Michael Carrick going to do at the weekend when it comes to Chelsea, because I think Chelsea will be the real big test of not just Michael Carrick. I think that's unfair to label it all just on him. But this team owes us as a fan base an actual showing in a big game, right? They can hide behind the manager. Oh, the manager wasn't good enough, blah, 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 blah. It's about time they shown up, innit? It's about time this team shown up, stood up, got counted and said, yeah, listen, we actually deserve to be Manchester United players. Here we are. This is what we're about. This is what we can go and do. Maybe even just to show the next manager so he don't think you're a load of old arse when he rocks up and was like, well, I watched them against Chelsea at the weekend. They can all get lost. Not having none of that. Game over. All. Bruno has his place back over Donny in fairness. Possible. Against Chelsea, McTominay, Van der Beek, Bruno, with Rashi, Ronaldo, Sancho would be just insane. It'd be far too attacking, for starters. Far too attacking. Donny needs a run of games. For me, it was his first start in a while. Yeah, same. Yeah, you can't expect miracles when someone's not played for so long. Even last year when he was playing more frequently, he still didn't look match fit at any point. So I think expecting him to be match fit now is probably a little bit unfair on the kid. I wouldn't start against Chelsea without Fred. Listen, it's gonna be Fred and McTominay. It's who goes with them, and it's probably going to be Bruno, I imagine, but it's definitely going to be Fred and McTominay, definitely, without a shadow of a doubt. And it's whether or not he mixes it up anywhere else. Does he go with a back three? Does he go with a 2 or whatever he goes with at the 4? I think that's what's going to be. That's where this needs to be figured out. Jerin says, back 3 against Chelsea. Well, in the past, you've seen managers matching formation for formation against teams. Chelsea's a strange one because even though they have a back 3, they don't necessarily play or attack like they've got a back 3. They kind of still play like they're playing 4-3-3. They're weird. They're really weird. But they're also extremely difficult to break down. They play their back 3 like it's a 2 and a 6, essentially, like 2 centre halves and a 6. So calling them a back 3 is it's not necessarily correct, but it's not incorrect either. It's weird. It's just weird, and I think they're going to look to overload you by playing out using their 5, because it's going to be a 5 in it. Their 2 wing backs are going to drop in with a 3. And they're going to use that and the midfield, and they're going to overload you in that area. It's what do you do elsewhere on the pitch, and what's their selection, because their selection could be multiple different things. United haven't really got the opportunity to go multiple different ways. The one I definitely would try and play, especially if you've got the option of playing Ronaldo off the left, is Cavani, but I don't know when Cavani's fit. Obviously, I'm going to be looking into that later this week. If there's any chance whatsoever of bringing Cavani in for this, Cavani, for me, has to come into this. It's going to be a really interesting week. Hopefully now we can just focus on whatever it is we need to do, take it a single game at a time, and try and do the best that we can do in each and every single game. And I do believe we've got the match winners in the squad to do it. They've had some really difficult games, Chelsea. Despite picking up the results, they've actually had some quite ordinary performances. So you just got to hope they have another ordinary performance, and we have a little bit of clinical finishing at one end from United, and we could upset them. And that would be absolutely sensational, wouldn't it? And nothing less than we were owed, because, fuck me, we've been terrible in some of them big games this year, haven't we? Righty, I'm going to wrap it up there. Just a nice little brief one. Jerin there says, Chelsea's back looked shaky many times this season, but it's weird that they haven't conceded much. Yeah, they're riding their luck a little bit. As usual, performances always your results will always drop to the level of your performance. The performances haven't been great, but the results have been great. They're due a balls up at some point. Let's hope it's against United. Ashutucho, sorry, says, I miss Ollie. Thank you for helping me through that phase. It would have been tough for you just as it was tough for the fans. Of course it was tough for me. I fucking love Solskjaer. And you know what? I didn't like the way they put the interview out, but I appreciate Ollie wanted to do the interview. And you can see by how upset he is, the guy just loves United. And you know what? We'll probably never have another manager that we can be as certain about that as we are with Ollie. Nice one. See you in a bit.